Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Christine and today we will be cooking a super easy 4-ingredient, no-knead crusty bread. Now I covered this bread in a couple of my previous videos. In my most popular, my 126 meals for $30 video, I have had hundreds of comments, private messages, DMs on Instagram and emails about this bread. So I thought I would make a dedicated video on the process for you. I'm gonna leave the recipe for you down below. And before I start anything, I just wanna say that flour and baking with flour, it's temperamental. If you live in the desert like I do and it's very dry and it hasn't rained in 3 months, you might need more water because of the humidity of the air. So just be aware that you can move with it a little bit as far as the water content, how long you let it rise and that sort of thing. I'm gonna make 2 batches today to kind of show you what white flour and whole wheat flour look like. A hard white wheat, I ground this myself, so it is quite coarse. If you purchase from the store whole wheat flour, if you get like a white whole wheat flour, it'll be a lot lighter and will turn out better for you. This one is just your standard all-purpose white flour, nothing fancy. 3 cups of flour in your bowl. And so I'm gonna do 100% white bread. 1, 2, and 3. And then the other one, I tried 100% whole wheat, but probably because my whole wheat is very dense, it didn't work out very well. So I'm gonna go half and half on these and see how it turns out. So I've got 1 cup of white, 1 cup of wheat, and half a cup again of each to equal my 3. Now, if you're really into baking and you use whole wheat flour often, you'll have something called Vital wheat gluten in your house. It looks like this. I can find it in my regular grocery store. I know Bob's Red Mill makes a variety of this. You can also buy it on Amazon. I'll leave a link down below if you're interested in pursuing a whole wheat baking. Now you add gluten to it because whole wheat has less gluten in it. It's the protein that gives it the bread texture, right? Clearly, if you have issues with gluten, don't do this. But for just 1 loaf of bread, we're gonna go like a tablespoon of extra gluten. It's gonna give it a nicer texture. Next up, we have our yeast. Now I buy my yeast in bulk always, and I keep it in the freezer until I'm ready to use it. It lasts for years that way. But I can get a 2-pound vacuum sealed bag, active dry yeast, that's the one that I use, for maybe $4 or so. It lasts forever. If I can find that on Amazon, I'll link that as well. So you just want half a teaspoon of yeast here. This is a 1/4 teaspoon, so I'm gonna double it up. In the wheat one, I might go a touch more. I'm gonna go 3/4 of a teaspoon on the wheat because it might need a little bit more action. Next up is salt, because salt makes food taste good. 1 full teaspoon of whatever salt you prefer. I just have plain old table salt here. It's super cheap. You can use kosher salt, you can use the pink Himalayan salt, whatever you want. For the water, you want to be able to stick your hand in it and have it feel warm, but be able to leave your hand in it, if that makes sense. So if you stick your hand in it and you're like, oh, it's hot, the water is too hot and will kill your yeast, okay? But if you stick your hand in it and it's cold, like it feels cold to your hand, it will still work, but it will take forever for your yeast to wake up and start eating all of the sugars that are in the bread and make all the nice bubbles. Now that you've measured out your water and its temperature, remember, if you stick your finger in it, it feels warm to my hand, but I could leave my hand in there for an hour and not burn myself, right? That's what you want. So 1.5 cups to each bowl. That's all of our ingredients. I'm just gonna use this big fork and kind of stir them up a little bit. I'm hoping that this video is helpful for my close friends who have been texting me. Jessica and Teresa, this is for you. Because both of them tried to make this bread and they both failed, like twice. So we're gonna see how we do here. So this is the white bread right here, and it's sticky. It is like a sticky dough, and that is just fine. If it's really dry and doesn't look sticky like that, add a little bit more water and keep stirring it. It's okay if you don't follow the directions 100% when it comes to adding like flour and water to bread. It's more about what it looks like than the measurement. And the whole wheat one, let's stir this one up. I'm gonna put, you can do saran wrap or a tea towel or a plate or something on the lid of this. And I'm gonna let these sit for 24 hours. You can go as short as 8, but I find it has a better result the longer it sits. So yeah, I'm gonna put these away and I'm not gonna finish this video until tomorrow. As you can see, the whole wheat flour is significantly more dry. So since I only added the 1.5 cup, I'm gonna go ahead and add a touch more, maybe like 2 tablespoons. right? No exact science to this. And then we're just gonna see what it looks like. If it still looks too dry to me, we'll add some more. But because I did add the extra yeast and I'm letting it sit for so long, it should be okay. Okay, now it's definitely wet. And it's still more of a ball than the other one, but at least it absorbed all of the flour this time. And remember, this one was only half and half, not 100%. So, saran wrap time, and I'll see you tomorrow. It's been right at 24 hours. Here is the white flour. Let's go ahead and take this off. So it didn't rise necessarily as just get really bubbly, almost like a sourdough. Here is my whole wheat, like half whole wheat, half white, which I think looks pretty good. It got nice and bubbly like it should, even though it is more dense. So we're gonna dump these out onto a floured counter and let them rest 30 minutes while I preheat my oven. Let's do the white first. I like to do just a quick little stir to make it fall a bit. It's super sticky, as you can see. So extra flour on your hands, not a bad plan. And it's gonna be hard to kind of put it into a ball, right? Because it's so sticky. I just kind of dump it, honestly. Just gonna scrape the last few bits off of my dish here. And you see how it's like just kind of falling a little bit? That's okay. Yeah, it's kind of a ball. And our whole wheat, see, it has a slightly different texture, still sticky, but not as like mozzarella cheesy as the other one. You see, definitely not as sticky here. So I'm just gonna kind of coat it in flour a little bit, kind of make it a little ball like this. Double check this one real quick. Way more sticky. So I can just tell by touching that the white one's gonna have a nicer texture, but the whole wheat one should taste fine also. So just cover this with like a tea towel or a bowl upside down, like you can do that, like that, just so it doesn't dry out, and we'll be back in 30 minutes. My oven is preheating to 450, and in here I have 2 pans that we're gonna test out. You can do this in a Pyrex bowl as well. Today we just have your standard metal loaf pan. You can pick these up at Walmart for super cheap. And I have a 3.5 quart Le Creuset covered Dutch oven. You can get a cheaper brand than this one for significantly less. I know Sam's has them, Target probably has some, Amazon might have some. 3.5 quart is the size of this one, so it's actually quite small. I pulled these out of the oven and I'm gonna add a little bit of cornmeal to the bottom of these. Please remember to use oven mitts, as these are very, very hot. So I don't put oil, just a little sprinkle of cornmeal on the bottom so my dough doesn't stick. I'm gonna put my whole wheat in this one because I wanna see if it can get nice and pretty. You guys have seen the all white flour one in the Dutch oven and it's beautiful, but we're gonna try it in the bread pan today. Okay, whole wheat dough. And it's a little too sticky to like make an X on top, so I'm not even gonna worry about it. White dough, very, very sticky, into my bread pan. I'm trying to get as much of that off as I can. Blah! And we're gonna stick these back in the oven, lid on. That's gonna create the steam you want for a really pretty crust. And on this one, we're just gonna use another bread tin and flip it upside down on top to create the same effect. There they are. Well, it's been 30 minutes. We're gonna take the lids off now and let it cook for another 15. Please use a mitt so you don't burn your hands. Okay, there's the whole wheat one. That actually rose very nicely. Here's the white one. Here we go. 15 more minutes. I just pulled the bread out of the oven 2 seconds ago. Before we talk about that, I wanted to say this shirt is available for sale down below if you're interested. I do have a lot of people ask me about it. And if you wear this shirt while going through airport security, the TSA agents will laugh and let you through faster. That is what happened to me. Here we have our white loaf, 100% white bread, just cooked in a bread pan. It looks beautiful. We're just pop it out real quick. And do you hear that? It's very crusty, okay? And this will be very hard to cut for about 2 hours. So I do like to bake these in advance. This is half and half, this one. And I'd say, ooh, ow. I think this one turned out really nice. So if you wanna do a whole wheat, I will leave whole wheat recipe I used for this one down below also. So 100% white flour, half and half whole wheat and white flour with a couple of changes. This one definitely smells nuttier, and I feel like whole wheat has a slight honey background to it, so I definitely smell that. whereas this one is more of like a sourdough, like a really light sourdough scent. Now you can cut them however you want, but I have had a lot of people ask me. This one, obviously you can just cut into slices like this. Don't do it yet. And then the round loaf, I like to cut in half. I would prefer to let it sit, but I'm trying to get this video out tomorrow. Woo, so crusty. It's very hot. It's also hard to cut when it's hot. There we go, kind of broke a little bit. So after you cut it in half, pop it this way and then slice it like that, right? So they look like little half slices, but there's the interior, of the whole wheat loaf. You guys see that steam? So it's definitely more dense than the other one. The white one will have more holes in it. I also want to conclude this video with a slight disclaimer. Bread can be finicky, and if you're not used to it and it totally fails, don't be scared to try again. I have been making homemade bread for over 15 years. I've done a lot of different recipes. I've done it in a bread maker, a mixer, by hand, no knead this way. At this point, I know the basics of making bread, and once you learn the basics of making bread, what it should look like, what the dough should feel like, you will get there as well. So go make these recipes. Let me know down below if they turn out for you, how you like them, if you tried the whole wheat, if you tried the white. I'm gonna keep tinkering around with the recipe to get to a 100% whole wheat version, and I will also move towards different floured version, although without the gluten, I'm not sure how it will turn out. If you guys enjoyed the video, I hope you would consider subscribing and hanging around longer. And if you want to see something really cool, if you hit the thumbs up button, it'll turn a different color. Try it and tell me what color it turns. If you want to see any of my other cooking videos, click over here. And if you want to see my $30 for a week for a family of 6 extreme grocery budget challenge video, click over here if you have not seen that. Thanks so much, and I will see you in the next video.